Hey Trent, you ever hear a cold open before?
No, I've never heard a cold open. Oh, actually, yeah, I have. But
What?
can I hear it?
Here, let me
Can
show
I hear
you. Let me show you for the first time. How was
Dang.
that? Was that good?
That was pretty good.
Welcome back to Cosmic Complexity, the podcast where we try our very best to understand the ever-expanding universe. Today we're going to be talking about 21 Pilots lore and all that we know up to this point. A little bit about Breach, the new 21 Pilots album, and also I'm going to share my theory on 21 Pilots currently that I have in mind. But before we get into that, we're going to read the comment of the week. Trent, take it away.
So, comment of the week this week is a pretty good one. We've got at Paul Pajons Pete Za. They said Grayson Oth is the gayest channel on YouTube.
Why are you laughing?
How do you?
Why are you laughing?
It wasn't a laugh.
Why are
it
you
was just
laughing?
a general
Do you think that's funny?
expression.
Do
No,
you think that's funny?
no.
Do you think that's a bad thing?
No, I do think it's pretty funny.
Do you think it's a?
I'm sorry.
Do you think he's saying that in a good way or a bad way? Because like,
Like in a slay way or in a
yeah,
not
'cause-
slay way?
Well, I mean, I think we're past gay being like
An insult.
an insult, and if you are using it as an insult,
It's kind of
you're using it incorrectly. At this point,
Yeah.
What do you think of that, Trent? What do you think? Why are you laughing?
I just think it's kind of funny.
All right, we're gonna pause there. That's all we're gonna say about that. We're not getting into it.
Okay.
We've already had to cut our last episode. We've had so many issues.
Oh, yeah, wait, we need to address the fact that this episode's 3 weeks late.
Yeah, 3 weeks late. Sorry, guys. It's been a hard time. Trent's moving. We're still figuring that out. And we got a lot of things we got to figure out. We're working on it. Cosmic Complexities, and we're in a training stage. Update, though, for the channel, if you do care, or if you're even watching this for the first time, content, the series, the podcast is moving to this channel now. This doesn't affect Trent at all. Trent doesn't even know about this, but yes, content is moving over here to this channel. So you're going to also have content, the series, and the podcast regularly uploading in between weeks. So keep your eye out for that. That's going to start next week, I think. So anyways,
That'll be good.
let's get into it. Let's get into 21 Pilots lore. So for context, 21 Pilots, the band, the hit band from 2015, has been building a storyline since 2015.
Mm-hmm.
So about 10 years worth of storytelling and lore and characters and music videos, 4 albums, a new album coming out here in September of this year, and in June we have a single coming out. And this last album is basically going to be the final chapter of this story. So, with that, today I'm going to be explaining to you, the audience, and Trent, the entirety of the story, the characters, everything about it.
Yeah.
This is all from a beautiful, beautiful Reddit user, Good Boy, who wrote all of this out with places, locations, music videos, names of characters.
Yeah.
Pretty much this person mapped out the entire story.
Yeah.
And today we're going to be reading it. I'm also going to link it in the description. So if you want to check it out, please help yourself. It is down there. And then here at the end of the episode, if we have time, I will get into my theories on what is going on, what the band is planning, what I think the story is going to end looking like. And we'll have a little bit of fun. So this is a little different than our normal topics, but, Cosmic Complexity is a pretty loose episode. And if you're a 21 Pilots fan or someone just trying to learn more about the story, thanks for clicking in. I'm not going to waste your time anymore. Let's get into it. We're going to get into it now, Trent. Trent, do you have any questions?
No. I mean, I'm just. It'll be good to have it all kind of laid out. I don't think that I've ever. I mean, you've laid it out to me a few times, but it'll be nice to just have it all
All the
very
information.
structured, all laid out.
It's incredibly intricate. 21 Pilot fans are very thorough.
Yeah. Yeah, I can tell.
All right. So we're going to start with places. Then we're going to go into characters. Then we're going to go into concepts and events. And then we're going to go into a map of Trench, a timeline, and the timeline is basically the full story. So,
cool.
It's basically we're gonna explain the characters, the locations, so that whenever you go through the timeline, you're gonna understand what I'm referring to when I say things.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. So just getting us ready to hear the whole story.
Yes. So it's mapped out in a great way. Good boy. So let's start off with places. So there's Dima, Trench, Volsoy, Paladin Strait, and Port Vile.
Okay.
Or locations here.
I've heard of 3 of the 5 of those.
So Dima is the city on the continent of Trench. It is surrounded by a large circular wall. It has 9 towers in the middle. It's also split into 9 districts, with each district being ruled by its own bishop. The outside of the city is a necropolis full of neon gravestones. The city is a very depressive place. The album Blurry Face details life in Dima. Citizens are not allowed to leave the city. Dima also has VIP citizens who receive special treatment from the bishops. It is sometimes referred to as the sacred municipality of Dima. Then there's Trench. Trench is the in-between. It's the land outside of Dima. Part of it resembles Iceland. It is where the banditos have a camp/base. There may be part of it that is a desert. That is also may or may not have a population of cheetahs. Voltsoy is an island off the shore of Trench. Has a large population of Neds, the little white dude with the horns.
Oh, yeah.
The island is referenced in the Island of Violence in the song Migraine.
Okay. Huh. So it's not like overtly mentioned in any of the songs. It's just that's just what they call it.
I mean, you see it in the music videos.
Yeah.
In Outside, I think. The Outside music video, you see Voltsoy. Port Vile is a port on the shore of Trench controlled by Dima. And that's the port, I think, where you see Clancy and Torchbearer at the end of Overcompensate.
Okay.
That music video. Which also, towards the end, there's a list of the order of which you should watch the music videos, which I think on their YouTube channel, they have all of the music videos in order already.
In chronological order, yeah.
All right, so that's our locations.
Oh, and Paladin Strait. Did you already mention that?
Oh, no. Paladin Strait is the bit of ocean between Voltsoy and Trench, so it's the ocean.
Okay.
It's
just the ocean.
It's the ocean, which, I mean, it's a cool name. I like the name. It's a good song, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. So let's get into the characters. Are you ready, Trent?
Yes, I'm absolutely ready. I'm locked in.
I want to see, how many can you name?
Oh, gosh. Clancy. Well, and then
one.
Literally the only reason why I can name this right now is because you just said it. The Torchbearer.
Okay.
The bishops.
No.
That's not a character?
Actually, yes.
Dude, I told you. I know 21 Pilots better than you do.
It's a group of characters. It's a group of characters. Okay, that's 3.
The bishops, and then you got Nico and the Niners.
Okay.
How many more do I lack?
I mean, the rest of them are kind of groups. So
okay.
you did pretty good. So there's Clancy. Clancy is a character played by the lead singer Tyler.
Mm-hmm.
He's a resident of Dima.
Now, do we know that Clancy was his name before the latest album?
During the Christmas Saves the Year music video, there was a present with Clancy's name on it, and that is the first time we saw Clancy's name.
So December 2024.
Yeah, but
or 23.
There's a theory, and I don't know if they're going to touch on this or not, but there's a very interesting, and I mentioned this, like, I thought during the music video for Paladin Strait, Tyler was going to get up, or Clancy was going to get up to the top of the tower, and then he was going to see himself as a bishop, but that bishop was Tyler, and Clancy was the other, and there was, like, 2 characters separately. Like how Torchbearer and Josh are not the same character, and there was, like, a fake version of Josh that was, like, linked to My Blood, where he just, like, had a fake friend, or not a fake friend, but like an imaginary friend who just helped him get through stuff, but he was never there the whole time. I think something like that was going to happen with Tyler, and then it was just blurry face at the top of the tower. So not just, but it was blurry face at the top of the tower.
Okay.
But
That's one of the other characters.
We're jumping ahead. So Clancy is the character played by Tyler. He is a resident of Dima who is famous for writing letters detailing his life in the city. He is also famous as a rebel and member of the Banditos who makes rebellious music. He spent an amount of time a prisoner of Dima being forced to make propaganda, but he has since escaped and is back to being a rebel. He is the only non-bishop who can use psychokinesis. So that's Clancy. Now, Torchbearer. This is Josh's character. He's a member of the Banditos and even their leader. His character is very mysterious and has the power to appear elsewhere to guide people without even being physically there. I think that Torchbearer, I think there's more to his character that we're probably going to find out in the next album. Mainly because there's just a lot that we don't know about his Torchbearer, but he's seemingly like really important to Clancy's character. Especially like in the last chapter that we saw, towards the end, he just disappears, and then Clancy was alone the whole time, and Torchbearer wasn't with him. Which at the end of that, My Blood starts to play. Which the My Blood music video is Clancy or Tyler dealing with like bullies and like the way he was living and growing up in his childhood. And then it's a twist at the end of the music video that he never had a brother. It was just somebody that he had made up to like get him through it.
Yeah. So
I think we'll see more of that later on in this next chapter for Breach, but interesting. Nico / Blurryface. Nico, full name Nicholas Bourbaki, sometimes also known as Blurryface, is the leader of the 9 bishops. He is the scariest. I don't think Nico and Blurryface are the same. Mainly because Nico and there's no clear definition.
Yeah.
And I don't know, like the album Blurryface, Nico isn't mentioned, which Nico probably as a character didn't exist.
Yeah.
When
at that
Blurryface
point,
came out.
Right.
But I feel like there's a Blurryface is kind of referencing to Clancy or Tyler himself.
Yeah.
And his own character and his own struggles. And like he says, my name is Blurryface, but he's not singing in that way. And there's also like the Blurryface voice, which is a deepened, slowed down version of Tyler's voice. And whenever Blurryface takes control is typically when Tyler's or Clancy is on that cycle of falling again and again and again. So I think that Blurryface is actually a state of Clancy or Tyler where he is in a certain part of his mental health or struggles.
Right. Yeah.
That's what I would say.
It also makes sense that like that would be Blurryface would be Clancy because like you said, they hadn't even really done any of the lore with Nico and the Niners whenever Blurryface came out. So it's like they were still kind of developing the story, you know. But
I don't know.
But would you agree that Nico is the scariest bishop? Is that?
Yeah, I think that's accurate.
Okay.
I mean, he's the one that captures him. Hold on.
Pause. And we're back.
No, but I would agree. I do think that Nico is definitely the scariest character.
Yeah.
Keon's was Clancy's bishop. He is described as more kind and caring than the other bishops. He conspired with Ned and the Torchbearer and Clancy to betray Dima and use trash to free Clancy and get him to Volsoy. He was killed by the other bishops before being possessed via psychokinesis by Clancy and starting a fire in Dima. Trash the dragon is a sea dragon that's speculated to have been long dead. His body was temporarily possessed via psychokinesis by Keon's to attack the submarine carrying Clancy. He represents creativity.
So, Keon's possessed the dragon. Trash.
Yes. Yes.
And that's what the whole submarine scene was.
Yeah.
Keon's
And you
trying
see
to
that-
save Clancy.
You see that in Saturday.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's him freeing Clancy from the submarine. And that was Keon's freeing Clancy from the propaganda.
Yeah.
And that was when he actually got out again.
And then do we see them kill the dragon?
I think it's presumed the dragon's dead. Because it has to be a dead body to
Oh, okay, yeah. But
take it
do
over
we see
control.
them kill Keon's though?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
Mm-mm. Oh no, you see Keon's die, yeah.
When?
I think it's in the overcompensate music. No. It's in one of the music videos, one of the newer ones.
Okay. So not scaled nicely.
Trash is the dragon that represents creativity. Ned and Ned's. Ned, the individual, is a cute little creature living somewhere in a cozy cabin and trench. The species, which are also known individually as Ned, as a whole, largely reside on Volsoi. Their antlers can grow and be removed. Once removed, they give Clancy the ability to do psychokinesis. Ned stands for Neural Exposition Device. You see the Neds in Chlorine, first time we see him, and then we see him again on the outside.
Yep.
So we really haven't seen Ned since Scaled Nicely era. So I don't know what they're doing with those characters. We may see them again, we may not. He's a pretty loved character in the fan base, so I wouldn't be surprised if they use him again in some way.
Yeah.
The bishops, there are 9 of them. Blurryface is both Nico and also all of the bishops and the city at the same time. See, that's what I mean. Like, what do you mean? I think that Blurryface is one of the... I don't think that the definition of Blurryface is well known yet. I think it's still kind of in the air.
Yeah.
But I would say I would be more lenient towards my own idea of it, where it's Clancy falling.
Yeah, it's Clancy
seems,
whenever he's like falling.
Whenever he's not in control of himself. Because we've seen, like, with the psychokinesis, it seems that, like, mind control or body control or changing of a person is not impossible in this universe. So it wouldn't be surprising if that's how Blurryface works. But all of the bishops and the city at the same time, same concept as a god being the Father and the Trinity in Christianity. I don't know about that.
Huh.
But I guess I can see that kind of.
Wait. So
the 9 of them, Blurryface is both Nico and all of the bishops and the city. So it's like, they mean like a trinity as in like multiple things at once being one thing, which I don't think that's the case, but it's an interesting idea. Clancy theorizes they may be immortal beings using psychokinesis to swap from body to body. They all borrow their names from Blurryface lyrics. For example, Sakarver is from She is a Carver. Their names are as follows: Nico, Keons, Andre, Lisden, Resurgro, Sakarver, Nils, Vatomo, and Listo. Fun fact, one of the bishops is Tyler's wife, which I think Sakarver is.
Really? That's cool.
The Banditos, a group of rebels who aim to escape, overthrow Dima. They wear yellow tape as the bishops are unable to see the color. So, that's important.
So,
they wear yellow so the bishops don't see them.
In Clancy, in the latest album, why do they wear red tape?
Rebel Red.
Yeah.
That's in Trench. He mentions Rebel Red. And that is them not hiding anymore. They're rebelling. So the yellow is hiding, the Rebel Red is rebelling against. So it's like, we want you to see us now.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But also, Clancy is the only one who wears red. Though all of the other Banditos were wearing yellow during the fight. Pretty sure. I could be wrong. So that's the Bandito. Clancy's rebellion is a rebellion started by Clancy inside of Dima. They wear red, orange tape to reclaim the color and make themselves known to the bishop. So the ones, well, you're fine. The ones wearing red are the ones who are rebelling. The ones wearing yellow are the Banditos, which I think you see both at the Paladin Street music video. Concepts and events. So this is a new section now. Vialism, the religion celebrated in Dima. The end goal of this religion is for one to take their own life. So that's cool.
Wow.
The glory is gone. Those who have committed to vialism and ended their lives, they each get a neon gravestone around the city. That is where their bodies are buried. Their bodies are referred to as available vessels for psychokinesis. So, neon gravestones, at the end of it, he says, promise me this, if I live to myself, you won't mourn today and move on to somebody else. So, it seems that Clancy is a target for vialism. They want him to die. They want him to die so that they can take his body. Based on the letters as of late from the concerts, also, it appears that Clancy is like the strongest that they've seen. And that's why they don't like him and they want him so much.
Yeah. I'm glad that we're kind of learning about that, or I'm learning about this, because it definitely gives more depth to the music.
Oh, yeah. Psychokinesis, or seizing, in art or ritual the bishops use to possess dead bodies, usually of the glorious gone. Others, but likely just Clancy, can use it via antlers from Ned's. We don't know for sure, but Clancy theorizes that perhaps the bishops can use it on living beings, and that had been used on him at points. We know for a fact that they can use it on living vultures at the very least. So that, to me, hints towards Blurryface being, because it says Clancy himself thinks that he's been controlled at some points.
Yeah.
That makes me think that Blurryface, that I'm more so right, that is a state of mind control, that Blurryface is taking control, whether it be from the bishops or from Nico. I think that's something there. I think there's something there. Smearing. This is what happens when an individual is captured by a bishop. It causes black marks on the person's neck and hands. It could potentially just be another form of psychokinesis. I don't think it is. I think it's a sign of it's like a ritual. I think it's a ritualistic thing. Smearing during the Skeleton Icy tour and the Icy tour, during Message Man, Tyler did a ritualistic smearing, and it was really cool. It was really interesting. But the way that he portrayed it in the concert, it appeared to be more of a... They've never had anything like this in the music videos. They've never showed it. But it felt more like a ritual. It wasn't like a point of control or anything. But whenever he is captured by Blurryface, his hands are marked, and he has the neck. So... I think it's a ritual. I think it's an indication of, like, I'm captured. So, that's cool. The annual Assembly of the Glorified. This is an annual meeting of all of the VIPs of Dima. One year, it was held on a submarine outside of the city. That's cool.
Which is when the dragon attacked.
Yeah, that's when Clancy was doing the whole thing. The feature performance event. This was a live event performed by Clancy while he was a prisoner and making Dima propaganda. The event was hosted by two bishops possessing dead bodies using psychokinesis. The bodies slowly deteriorated over the course of the event. Clancy played one song, Choker, and spent the whole time daydreaming himself performing other music with the torchbearer. This is also on the example of the FPE initials often reused and referred to in 21 Pilots lore.
So that whole live thing they did plays into the... It's like it was a live event.
Yes.
For like the Dima propaganda. Interesting.
That's what that was like. That event was more indication, because like when the album just came out, there wasn't really any music videos that tied into the story a lot, and for the longest time until they started to release the lore-based music videos, it was like, this doesn't feel like 21 Pilots. Like the story doesn't match up. Something seems odd with the way that Tyler was acting in the music videos and the way that they were shot and the colors. It was like, something's off here. And then they started to release the lore videos, and then the live event happened, and that's when everyone started to kind of cling on to the Skeleton Icy era more, because they were like, oh, there's something here. But I was on it the whole time. Day one Skeleton Icy fan. Failed perimeter escape. This is what people who try and fail to escape Dima are categorized as. Another example of FP or uses of FP in the lore include the few, the proud, and the emotional, and fairly local, the fuel, petrol, etc. from the live stream. So the few, the proud, the emotional. We've seen that. We're seeing a lot of that now. He said it at the end of Paladin Strait. So few, so proud, so emotional. Hello, Clancy. And then whenever they announced Breach, they said it again. So I think the few, the proud, the emotional is a description of the Banditos and the rebellion. And it's like a distasteful description. It's like, you guys are awful. Basically, it's a jab at from the bishops. Yes. DMA demorg.info. I don't know anything about this. A website Clancy used to spread letters and media about Dima. Bishops found the site and took it down for a while, but Clancy has since got it back up following his escape. East is up, a code phrase used amongst banditos to help identify each other. This phrase is used because the way out of Dima is in the east side of the wall. This is represented by the pitchfork symbol seen on the Trench album cover. It was later repurposed by Clancy into the Scaled and Icy logo, also on the album cover. East is up also recently. The last couple of live shows, the symbol was upside down, and East is down was what it was referring to, and everyone was freaking out because East is up is to identify banditos. So what does East is down mean? Yeah, and everyone was like, we still don't really know, but that's interesting. Also, Salo Felina, what the banditos cry out when they are in need of help. So we heard that for the first time in Bandito towards the end. It's not really a word, or it's like a new word. He made it. He just made it up. But you hear it again and overcompensate. So it's like it's a cry. But that's also something. Vultures. There are a large population of vultures in Dima. For the banditos, vultures are a symbol of their commitment to turn death into life and to continue living. The vulture is the cover of Trench. His name is Clifford.
Really?
Yeah.
Clifford.
The map of Trench. First symbol on the Trench album cover looks like a flower, kind of. Is a map of all of the canyons in Trench. There's also a full map of the continent in Trench on the dima.org.info website. The bend symbol. The bend symbol is a new name. They didn't name this one, but he refers to it as the bend symbol in Overcompensate. He said, "I fly by the bend symbol." So that's what their logo is with the slashes. The symbol of the banditos is the rebellious, as it is an upside down neon gravestone. The gravestone resembles the extra lines two around the symbol are symbolic of a jumpsuit, something covering us and giving us support. Good Day Dima, a live from TV show hosted by two bishops to spread Dima propaganda. It is hosted the feature performance event. So
I remember that.
Almost 30 minutes into the episode, or if not more. That's all of the explanations and stories and characters.
Yeah, that's a lot.
So now we're going to get into the timeline.
Yeah.
Now we're going to get into the actual story. But now you know kind of a little bit of context.
Yeah, I mean that already is helps a lot with understanding the story. So
I hope so. It's a lot. The only reason I know about all this is because I went to the Emotional Roadshow when they were going on tour in OKC. And then I saw them in Trench. And then I saw them during the Scaled and Icy era. And I saw them during the Icy tour. And then I saw them on their Clancy tour. So I've seen every tour since their 2015 tour.
Yeah, which 2015 was
10 years ago.
Well, yeah, but which album was that?
Blurry Face.
Blurry Face. Okay.
So I've been a day one.
So you never saw Vessel was there, the one before Blurry Face. Which does that play into any of this?
A little, but not much, because it wasn't really lore forward.
Yeah.
But we'll get into that. I have some theories about his older albums, but let's get into the timeline before we get into my theory, because I'll just be yapping about my theory for a while. And my theory will make more sense if we know the full story so far. So here's the timeline. Clancy spends 9 years in Dima. It is not explained how old he is or where he came from, and even he does not seem to be sure. Clancy's bishop is Keon's. Clancy hears rumors of the old world and the outside and is inspired to discover what is beyond the walls of Dima. During the annual assembly of the glorified, Clancy and a group of like-minded rebels attempt to escape at night with the hopes of meeting banditos outside of the walls. Clancy is the only one to escape, and he does not meet any banditos. Clancy is eventually caught. Upon returning to Dima, he tries to escape again, this time somehow tricking Nico into driving him out of the city. He causes a distraction with the help of the torchbearer's projection while they are on the road and escapes in a trench. This is the Heavy Dirty Soul music video. Clancy explores Trench for an unexplained amount of time and eventually runs into the banditos as he walks down a river. He is subtly approached by Nico, who smears him. Clancy is inspired by the banditos, including Josh's character, the torchbearer, showering him with petals to resist the smear and escape the grasp. Clancy is recaptured and dragged down the river for a while, but eventually escapes again on his own. So that little bit where he's walking, he's free, and then Nico appears and he grabs his neck and he smears him, and then he's captured again.
Yeah.
That is like the ritual that I'm referring to.
Yeah.
That's the black paint.
Yeah.
And we see Nico do the same thing at the end of Paladin Strait, and now Blurry Face is in control again. So I think the difference here is that the Petals and the Rebellion and Torchbearer were there, and so they freed him from that control. But I think the smearing is a ritualistic, like, controlling of Blurry Face. So there's something there. I think there's something there. Clancy disassociates throughout this entire event and views it as an out-of-body and does not recognize until later that it actually happened to him. These are the events of Jumpsuit music video. Clancy journeys Trench for another 5 days, not running into any banditos. Keons finds him one morning and takes him back to Dima. Clancy spends a few weeks in Dima before coordinating with the banditos, likely by talking to Torchbearer using his projection power to escape again while the bishops are busy with a vialism ceremony. He successfully escapes, and the people of Dima are inspired by the sight of the banditos. This is the events of the NATN music video. Nico and the Niners music video. Sorry. I was like, what is this acronym? Clancy travels to the bandito camp and makes rebellious music against Dima with the banditos. This is the album Trench. The camp is attacked and Clancy is recaptured again. The events of Levitate. Clancy spends a few years in prison. During this time, he becomes a bit of a legend in Dima for his letters and music. The bishop harnesses his fame and forces Clancy to write propaganda for them. This becomes Scaled and Icy. Clancy sneaks a hidden message, Clancy is dead, into the album title.
Wait,
you didn't know that. Scaled and Icy.
Into Scaled and Icy?
If you move the letters around, it spells out Clancy is
really?
dead.
Wait, can we pull it up real quick? Kind of curious.
I mean, Scaled and Icy. Clancy is dead. The letters. That's all. I mean, it's just like if you move the letters
Interesting.
around.
Yeah. That's kind of cool.
Clancy performs in the feature performance event on Good Day Dima, but spends most of it daydreaming. The show is hosted by two bishops who use psychokinesis to control the vessels of two corpses of the glorious gone, which slowly rot and fall apart as the show goes on. Clancy performs at the annual assembly of the glorified on the submarine outside of the city for the VIPs of Dima. He is guarded by fake bishops to intimidate him. Unbeknownst to the other bishops, they have been betrayed. An escape plan is underway. Keons betrays the bishops and uses psychokinesis to possess the sea dragon Trash to destroy the submarine and free Clancy and the Torchbearer. The events of the Saturday music video. The other bishops kill Keons. Clancy and the Torchbearer wash up on Volsoy to discover creatures, Neds, that give Clancy the ability to use psychokinesis through his antlers. Clancy uses these to control the vessel of Keon's corpse and start a fire in Dima, the events of the Outside music video. Clancy and the Torchbearer wait on the island for rescue, intending to finally use the new power to truly fight back against Dima. We know at this stage, anywhere from 5 to 10 years have passed since the Nico and the Niners music video, as we see the same kids who appear in that music video all grown up. As Banditos, Clancy reveals that Torchbearer had this all planned out the whole time. We know from Ned's cozy cabin that he had been communicating with the Neds. Clancy making propaganda may have been a long-term plan coordinated by Keons and Torchbearer to get him to the island so he could learn psychokinesis. Clancy is now a weapon to be used in the upcoming final war. He gets ready to cross the Paladin Strait to return to Dima, which he is now filled with embers of inspiration. Clancy and the Torchbearer return to Dima across Paladin Strait on boat. While on the boat, Clancy uses psychokinesis to possess a glorious Gone and teach anti-demon lessons inside the city. A rebellion starts to brew within the city. These rebels wear red tape. Clancy leaves the body and returns to his own as him and Torchbearer arrive on the shores of Trench. This is the Overcompensate music video. Clancy crosses Trench with some banditos and the Torchbearers, and eventually he meets the Torchbearer. Turns out the Torchbearer that had been with Clancy since Saturday music video was just a projection to guide him. The real Torchbearer had been leading the banditos in Trench the whole time. This is in the navigating music video. Also, the glorious Gone use of the bodies, like the projection, and then the end of Overcompensate, where like Clancy's body falls and then there's just like it just moves to the real Tyler. They've been doing that for a long time in the concerts. You saw it. You know how like Josh and Tyler are on stage and then they're not. It's not Josh and it's not Tyler.
Yeah.
They've been doing that for a while.
They appear somewhere else.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then he takes off the mask. And so that's a really fun kind of thing they've been doing in the concerts as well for a while. Clancy sharpens his Ned antlers into weapons and dons his red tape and mask. He is joined by an army of banditos and his rebels as they prepare to march on Dima for the final battle. The bishops seize vultures and use them to spy on the bandito army. They use this info to prepare for the upcoming battle. The remaining bishops, minus Nico, muster all their power to perform a mass seizing of the bodies of the glorious Gone. They all rise from their neon gravestones, which they pull apart to use as weapons to form an army of zombies controlled by the bishops to protect Dima, which was a cool imagery. Like actually seeing the neon gravestones and the zombies was really cool.
Yeah.
Which I'm trying to think. I think it's Migraine. He mentions zombies. Says it might be Blurry Face, but he says that. No, I'm sorry. I'm thinking of it. I think it's Nico and the Niners, where he says, he tells me I'm a copy. He's always trying to mock me. No. Oh, let me think. Hold on. I think it's in Vessel. There's a reference to zombies. I'm trying to think where it is. If you're a 21 Pilots fan and you know what I'm talking about, comment it down below, because that is a lyric. I just don't have it in my head right now. Yeah. But zombies have been something that he has referenced multiple times, even in Vessel, I'm pretty sure. Nico suddenly appears from out of the door and quickly levitates to Clancy, grabbing him by the neck. Oh, I'm sorry. Hold on. I think I jumped. The two armies clash outside of Dima. The two armies clash outside of Dima while Clancy sneaks back into the city to find the bishops. He climbs the tower, sneaks in, and quickly defeats the remaining bishops, minus Nico. And they are defeated. As they are defeated, the zombies outside the walls also turn back into normal corpses, and the army falls. Nico suddenly appears from out of the door, quickly levitates to Clancy, grabbing him by the neck. Clancy briefly succumbs to Nico while Nico speaks to him. However, he finds the strength to open his eyes and get ready for the final showdown against Blurryface. Against Nico, not Blurryface. This was all in the Paladin Strait music video. It turns out that the bishops knew of the plan between the banditos. They issued a letter to the people of Dima before Paladin Strait's music video, promising to keep them safe from the banditos. They even destroyed bandito tents and left letters with Dear Clancy written on them in red in order to taunt him. This occurred during the first leg of the Clancy tour. In the line, Clancy looks towards his upcoming final battle with Nico and wonders if he has gone too far and if he'll be able to return to himself afterwards. Clancy is revealed to have intentions of becoming all-powerful and ruling Dima after the final battle. This was all shown in the letter before the final Clancy tour show. So, real quickly, we'll just go ahead and get into the recommended watching and listening order if you're a new fan or if you've never heard about the story. The album order, Vessel, apparently. So this person doesn't understand how Vessel is connected, which I've already pointed to some things in Vessel.
Yeah.
Vessel, Blurryface, Trench, Scaled and Icy, Clancy. Notably, lore-heavy songs are Migraine, Heavy Dirty Soul, Stressed Out, Fairly Local, Doubt, Goner, Morph, Neon, Gravestones, Nico and the Niners, Bandito, Leave the City, Choker, No Chances, Redecorate, Overcompensate, The Craving, Navigating, Ballad and Straight, and The Line. Music videos, you can watch them. There's also an I Am Clancy video, which is like a simplified recap. But if you want to watch the music videos, Heavy Dirty Soul, Jumpsuit, Nico and the Niners, Levitate, the live stream, Saturday, The Outside, Overcompensate, Navigating, Ballad and Straight. Which the live stream is not accessible anymore. You can't get it. So
that's what I thought.
Extra non-canon music videos. We don't have to get into that. So that is the very simple and basic 21 Pilots lore. How do you feel before we get into my theories?
Well, I think it's cool to kind of hear it all laid out like that, because you've shown me the music videos and stuff before, but I've never really fully understood exactly what it. But that makes actually a lot of sense. Like, it's kind of cool too. It makes me wonder if they would ever, like you said that this last album or this next album is going to be the end of this whole like Clancy era. It makes me wonder if they'll release something in the theaters like they did for Scaled and Icy, like a
big music video kind of thing.
Either that or like a more like narrative and like action forward retelling of the entire, and like obviously they can have some songs sprinkled in there, but more of a like almost like a movie, you know.
I think Tyler mentioned that he would be okay, like he'd be down for something like that. And I think that the live stream experience where they brought it into the theaters, because they pioneered that. They were like the first to do that. And then Taylor Swift and all these other people, Billie Eilish, they all started to jump on the train. But I think that was a test to see if the fans were interested enough to buy a ticket and sit. And of course they were. Yeah. But no, I think that would be really.
That'd be cool. I mean, because like just listening to the story, I'm not a very big like, you know, I don't like to dissect the music I listen to and like try to understand the lyrics and everything. Yeah, I'm pretty much like I just listen to it because I like the way it sounds. Yeah, which I've been I kind of try to do a bit better about that. But to me, it's like hearing that whole story. It's like, wow, this is actually kind of interesting. I would like to. It seems it'd be a good premise for like a movie.
I mean, you can tell he's been working on it for 10 years. Yeah. And I feel like if he went and retold the story, there'd be a lot more clarification, like on Blurryface and.
It would have like a full canon of exactly what.
Yeah. Which I'm really curious to see how the breach ends up. But okay, well, before we get into like my full theory, we'll talk about my breach theories. So currently, as of recording this, there has not been any huge information. It's all just a theory right now. We know that the contract is coming out on June 12th. So today's June 1st. So in 11 days, we'll have a new song and a new music video, I'm assuming. Currently, so they went through an eye closing event where they started to sleep, which when Blurryface happened after they finished their tour, they closed the eye and it stayed closed for like 2 years. For 2 years, we heard nothing. It was dead silent from 21 Pilots. No music videos, no hints to music, no tour announcements, nothing. Just dead silent for 2 years. And then the eye opened, and it was the Trench logo. They haven't done anything since that, since Trench in 2018. I think it was 2018. So when that eye came back, everybody was freaking out. And like I told you this whenever we were talking about it, because I was keeping track of it, and I was like, okay, this is really cool. They're starting to do something. And as we got nearer and nearer to the eye closing, I mentioned to you and a few other people that I don't think the eye was going to close. And everyone was like, why? And I was like, well, in Overcompensate, he says, you don't fall asleep on a boy, you can't fall asleep twice. So he mentions falling asleep, and he wouldn't just mention that and use that word without it being important. And then there's another point where he's fighting to keep his eyes open. So I think there were multiple things that indicated that he was going to almost fall asleep, but he wasn't going to. He couldn't. So I knew that the eye wasn't going to close, which it didn't. It got closed, and then it reopened to show the new logo. And then they just, at 9 a.m. on a random Thursday, announced a brand new album, which confirmed the second album theory that the fans have been theorizing since the launch of Clancy, where everybody was like, there's another album coming. Like, we all knew that it was almost absolute, which there was no confirmation.
Yeah.
It was
I
all
mean,
a
because the
theory.
way the tour ended, it was quite a cliffhanger.
I mean, just the way the music video ended was because the live stream, they didn't have the music video ready, so we all waited for it. But Tyler said at the end of the live stream, does it sound like an end to you? And that was all he left it at. And then during interviews for the tour, he mentioned that nothing important and story driven is going to happen, but he said, but it's not nothing. And the last show of the tour, they reenacted what we now know is the Breach album cover, where the Clancy is looking at Josh and then refuses the jacket, which we went to the first show of the entire tour, and he gets up, he grabs the jacket from Torchbearer, and then they walk up to Dima and they set Dima aflame. But the last London show, he was showing indications that Clancy is becoming blurry face. He was screaming. He would grab the camera, and when he went to grab the camera, it faded black, like blurry face was taking control, like the smearing, which is what I think is an indication of blurry face taking control, is the smear.
Yeah.
So that was happening the whole show. And during, I think it was Goner, he said, help. And then he hesitated for a really long time. And then he says, me, at the end, which is like a really weird, like, almost like a question. It's like, does he want to be saved? In the line, the whole song of the line is him crossing it and not being recognizable. And he can't recognize himself. And he's like, have I gone too far? Is kind of the point of the line. And then he can't see Josh wearing the yellow tape, which, remember, the bishops can't see the yellow tape.
Yeah.
And all of the Clancy's letters referenced and were referring to Clancy taking control of Dima, but making it a new thing. And I think that he is going to attempt to take control and fail and become a bishop. Which is like that vicious cycle that, we were talking about a little bit earlier. It's I do think that we're seeing a vicious cycle, but instead of him being taken control of, he's becoming controlled. But it's like an Anakin story. Yeah. Is what a lot of people, I think it's what he's kind of playing into, is that that good character turned bad. Which I think it's a great story. I don't think it's a bad story at all. Yeah. But especially the way since the beginning, Clancy has not been a reliable character.
Mm-hmm.
He's always been falling. He's always in that cycle. He's always in that loop. And in the backslide video, the point of that music video is that he is dealing with his own struggles. He goes to the store, he buys some hamburger buns, and he's on his bike. And he goes through this whole thing. He's throwing the buns, and then he gets to the point where he is at Josh's house where Josh is, and he doesn't have any buns. They're soggy and torn apart.
Yeah.
And so he goes back to the store. And the point of that music video is it's a loop. He's always trying to get music, or he's always trying to get hamburger buns, but he's always failing. He's always backsliding to where he started from, and he doesn't want to, but he is. But Josh is waiting patiently, flipping the burgers,
Right, waiting for
him to come, which I think that music video alone is a huge indication for how the story is going to end.
Yeah. Like, Josh is the Obi-Wan and Tyler's the Anakin sort of deal.
Well, I think that it's going to end with Josh waiting. Like, he is in Paladin Strait, he's waiting outside the tower. But I think Clancy is just going to fall, and he's just going to have to watch and just wait, much like family members and friends can't really help you in some scenarios, and they just have to watch you backslide and fall. And there's a point where you can't help somebody. They have to help themselves first. They have to make that step. But they are there for you. You just have to make that step. And I think that's the point of the story, is that you have people there for you. Like, at the risk of being dumb. That's the whole point of At the Risk of Being Dumb. He's saying, check in. He's like, there's no point in losing a friend. It's like, you have to make that step. You just have to reach out. So, I think that is a pretty big indication. But for the end of the story, that's what I think is going to happen. I think it's a vicious cycle, which I still haven't found that. I've been saying vicious cycle, and I know it's from a lyric, and I can't remember what song it is.
Yeah, because it does sound familiar. I mean, we can probably Google it.
It's fine. It's fine. We'll do it later. But I think that is how it's going to end. It's going to end with it being a cycle, much like in the concert during the Clancy tour. The end of Paladin Strait perfectly cuts into Jumpsuit, and it ends with him, Blurryface's hand on his throat, and then Jumpsuit starts with Blurryface's hands on his throat, and it's that same circle kind of. It's a reoccurring image in the story of just a cycle. It's just ever going backslide. I mean, Clancy breaks out and gets caught like 4 times over the course of 5 albums. I feel like, am I wrong? Am I crazy?
Yeah, I mean, that seems like what they're doing with it. Another
reason why I think that I have thought Clancy was going to lose from the beginning. In implicit, or I'm sorry, not Regional at Best. What is the album with the is it Regional at Best? I know. We got time. I'm almost done. That's my wife. She's checking on it. We have to go to a baby shower in 2 minutes.
I don't have to go to a baby shower in 2 minutes.
You don't. We're almost done recording though. We got a little bit. We'll be a little late. It's fine. We honestly could cut this a little, or
we did have.
We're at 13 minutes.
Yeah.
And then we have 43 minutes, 44 minutes. So that.
It's like 56 minutes.
Yeah, if we do like 5 more minutes, we're good.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys. Back to what I was saying before I was rudely interrupted by my wife, who I love dearly. In that first album that we have access to, not Regional at Best, the one after that. Can't even remember it for some reason. It's out of my head. I want to say Implicit Demand for Proof.
That sounds right.
But that
like
might be
the very first, early album.
Yeah,
That sounds right.
that also might just be one of the songs on the album.
I think that's the album name or whatever.
Yeah, you pull it up. But there's a lot of songs on that album that make me think that that kind of point towards the story, the same story that he's been writing. Oh, it's just called 21 Pilots.
Yeah, but the first song on the album is Implicit Demand for Proof.
See, that's why I forgot the name of the title of the.
Because it's just 21 Pilots.
It's just 21 Pilots. But that first album, there's a song on it called A Car, a Torch, and a Death. That song is, I think, the story. I think that is the entire story in one song.
Okay.
Because, and people are kind of starting to pick up on this, but I picked up on it very quickly, like years ago now. I just haven't really said anything about it, but a car we see in Heavy Dirty Soul, and we see it in Trench, that's burning. It's a car that Nico drives, and it's the car that they put on the stage during the Trench tour. A torchbearer. So that's two out of the other things, and then there's a death. Clancy.
Yeah.
I think Clancy's gonna die. Which again is like him becoming a bishop. In order to become a bishop, you have to die. Remember that, right?
Yeah.
It's like a dead body. So yeah, I think that song has been the story this whole time.
That's pretty crazy if that's what it is.
And
yeah,
at the end of the song, he says, "And I begin to understand why God died." As how he like finishes it after the car, the torch, and the death. Which Tyler is a Christian. There are Christian undertones throughout the entire song, but it's not the main point of the music. But what if it is to showcase a sacrifice and a forgiveness like the Christian faith? And a lot of people have compared like Josh dying as a sacrifice of like Jesus being represented through Josh. I think if there is going to be any representation of like a Jesus-like character, it'd probably be Clancy.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it's going to be like a tie into Christianity or not, but that would be really interesting if that is like the purpose of it is to understand why God died for us. But I do think that it showcases a clear line to me. It's like, you're telling me a car, a torch, and a death? We've seen all of those things.
Yeah.
That's
what, and the one we haven't seen.
And this is a band where coincidence is not something.
No, I think that's a pretty good theory.
After
hearing all of it, I would say that I agree with that theory.
I think that it's a possibility. But also, I thought Paladin Strait was going to end with him dying. And that's what I told you. I was like, he's going to die, and we're going to see like an extra 5 minutes of like actual story, and then it cut. And then we all were like, well.
Yeah.
So
maybe that's how this album is going to end. Breach.
Yeah, let's see. We'll see. And you know what? When that happens, when Breach comes out, maybe we'll do an episode on it, depending on how this does.
Yeah.
But with that, that's all I got time-wise. We got to go. Thank you guys so much for listening. If you're a news watcher and you're a 21 Pilots fan and you listen to us yap about 21 Pilots for an hour, consider hitting that subscribe button and checking out the rest of our content. We love you guys so much, and we'll see you guys later.
Goodbye.